Hi, I'm Badger Johnson. I do some forest farming stuff. My company's called Paradise Ecological Services. If you ever want a consulting forester to come do a management plan for your woods. Today, here with some botanist friends in the Missouri Ozarks in Shannon County, maybe, near the Current River. This beautiful plant is called Ligusticum canadense, and people sometimes call it American lovage, otherwise known as boar hog root or angelico. And my forest farming mentor, Joe Hollis, kind of put me onto this back in 2007. And I'll link a video that he did about this. But we are in this really fascinating valley where there are hundreds of these plants doing really well. You almost never see this thing making seed in the wild, hardly, because it's very susceptible to deer browse, and if the flowering stalk gets nibbled as it's coming up by deer, it doesn't really grow back. It often doesn't. It doesn't flower very often to begin with, but you can see there's a lot of seed on it. Some of it is still flowering. So Derek, who's holding the camera, and I were harvesting seed in August last year, and we're like, oh yeah, these seeds could be a little more brown and ready. But some of these seeds are, they're already formed. So I don't know, we might come back in September. There's been a little bit of debate about what kind of habitat this plant likes. I'll say where we are now, if you want to pan around, Derek. We're at the base of a slope that's in a burn unit. Right around us is white oak in different patches of where we're finding this. We're also finding shortleaf pine. There's a shortleaf pine right behind Derek, actually. And we think this is on a layer of dolomite-derived soil, but it's also kind of just in a pile of rhyolite scree. So it seems like it's benefiting from the fire. It seems like it's benefiting from that dolomitic influence, but also we found it above. We'll have to take some pictures. We found it where there didn't seem to be anything but really acidic loving species, and this. A few other things that come to mind in terms of floristic associations: we found a lot of Angelica venenosa growing near it, and Actea racemosa, very similar looking, compound leaves. There's got a few pictures of them growing side by side to help disambiguate that. But if you were trying to do some forest farming on your property and you had some black cohosh growing happy there, you might be able to plant some of this there as well. There's like a little canopy gap here by the edge of the stream. It's like in a little drainage, so these plants are particularly happy. But yeah, Cal, what was our learning earlier today or yesterday about trying to plant seedlings of it versus planting seed?
All the seedlings that I've tried to plant, I think, potting soil with them, it seems like the armadillos here cue in on that, so they'll root them up. And then the other thing that I'm concerned about is because those plants didn't get a chance to germinate in the native soil, I think they're kind of trained for the loose, rich potting soil, and they kind of just hover in that and aren't putting roots out into the native soils around them. So I get a little concerned about those seedlings doing well. I haven't seen them do very well.
So how are we going to do it different next time?
I think more focused planting of seeds into the native soils. So as opposed to, like a lot of people when they seed an area, they'll just take the seed that they have and scatter it, whether it's post-fire or not. But I think if you were to do a little more careful, focused planting, you might have better results. Like, scratch the soil with your boot and put a couple seeds right there, and then cover it lightly again, something like that.
Post burn.
Post burn, preferably, yeah, or at least in a managed woodland that's going to have a little more openness. Like this area is largely missing its mid-story, and I suspect that helps this species as well as black cohosh and others.
And if you were going to burn in the woods every 3 or 4 years, when do you think you would put the seeds in the soil to give it the best chance of success?
If you can burn in late growing season, October, November, and then put the seed right out, that's probably what I'd do.
Because that would mimic when the seed was going to fall anyway.
Exactly, yep.
I like that.
And there's a brief flush of potash fertilizer after you burn too, so they'll be able to take advantage of that their first growing season.
Awesome. Well, like I said, we never see this stuff flowering or making seed, and here's 2 really happy big ones, and there's probably 10 other ones that
There's
we saw.
another one right up the valley there.
Another one right up the valley, so we're going to have to come back to this spot and harvest some seed. I thought we were going to have to schlep a bunch of deer fence up here to cage some, but there's something kind of magical about this valley, so maybe we can get away without the fencing.
Yeah.
All right, that's good. Thanks for watching.